All right, so this is the inaugural SSS Dynasty League Week 1 of 2020 podcast,
Woo woo!
which I never thought we would do. I have one of my league mates here, Jordan, and I'm sure we'll get other league mates in on this at some point. But, you know,
Get some
starting
guests
off with two to be easy. Yeah, maybe we'll get some guys, you know, like Adam Schefter, Bill Simmons. Who knows? We can get all this. Rappaport, yeah, all of them. But we had I'm gonna pull up my phone over here. We had kind of a crazy, not really crazy, but just like interesting week 1. If you go back and look at it, and
so we had 5 matchups as we do every week, and the winners this week were the Gridiron Throne took down J Money's Pizza Rolls 137.4 to 94.3. The Grave Diggers took down Team Start It Up 134.8 to 67.56.
If this ever gets like taken out to the public, we need to tell people, let people know that that's my dad and our last name is Star. So I figured
they don't need context for that.
I think there needs to be some context for that. Who knows how many people will listen, but
we got the 41ers, Noah, here with 129.2 with the, I will say, first upset of the year over the Fish Tenders. Jones 120.04. We had an absolute killing of a game with Winged Helmet, currently named Let Russ Cook, with a 146.58 outing over General Shepherd's Rangers, only putting up 66.82. And Two Steppers came out strong, 134.8 over Revenge Tour, who actually put up a fight early, 106.44. So that was our week 1 matchups.
Of all things, Revenge Tour managed by Steven Stewart putting up over 100 points was probably the biggest shocker to me.
I was
Matthews
surprisingly happy with his output. Because he had the Thursday night matchups. He had Fuller on Thursday night, and he had Watkins, who combined for 35. Those guys combined for 35, so he had a strong outing on Thursday night.
The Chiefs getting Sammy Watkins involved a lot more. Maybe, I don't know if he already got his one fantasy relevant week out of the way. Maybe he'll have his inaugural sleeve, but
his inaugural week 1 boom. I don't think he's going to get traded for DK Metcalf this year, but
oh no, we'll see. There was a lot that happened, but a lot of surprises. The team that blew it all up put up 100 points. The team that had the worst off season ever put up 67, which I'm no stranger to, since I think I was in the 60s 3 times last year.
Yep.
Something like that. But yeah, Let Russ Cook more than double the General Shepherd's Rangers.
Yeah, that was a bit of a blow. I'm just looking at the week 1 report here, and that is saying that he blew out Luke by a margin of 119%.
Yeah, so we do our league on Sleeper, and yeah, that was one of the weekly awards, was that was the biggest blowout. And you had the worst manager. I didn't.
I got the worst manager and still came up with a nice win. I guess my best lineup had a 192.2 potential output, so I left a few guys on the bench, I guess.
That would have made you highest scorer of the week by almost 50 points.
Yeah, just putting Ridley over Odell would have been a smart play in the first place. So Odell will be on the bench until further notice.
Yeah, I honestly think that's a good play. I mean, we talked a lot about our teams already, but you know, if you had to pick like your surprise player of the week from week 1, who would you pick? I think you'll be surprised by mine, but I'm interested to see who you would think would be the week 1 surprise.
You saying player or team?
Player. Individual
Okay.
player.
Why don't you go first? Because I had a team, and I'll come up with one here. But you go first.
Oh, you're gonna like my surprise player. He didn't really swing a game too much in terms of fantasy, but for me, it was actually Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I was
Mainly because
pleasantly surprised with his week 1 output. Yeah,
I was surprised with it mainly because of the receptions, because of the off season and the training camp where they were talking about him dropping passes, and I think there was like mention of him fumbling. But the fact that I think he had more receiving yards than he did rushing yards, but when I was watching him, he looked really good. And I don't know. To me, it was just surprising to me. You easily could have started him over Le'Veon.
Yeah. I actually put him in the lineup on Saturday, and then I went back and put Le'Veon back in, as you do, right?
Obviously is a mistake.
Well, now Le'Veon's on the IR, so I don't have to make that decision.
Nope, the decision's been made for you for future weeks.
And I have my surprise player, actually. Mine is DeAndre Hopkins. Now, never doubt the talent, but with him changing teams, I was a little unsure of his output and his target share. And this man came out 14 of 16 for 151.
He just absolutely went off.
I had the Kyler Hopkins stack, and I traded him away to Brooks in a deal that netted me Taylor and other pieces involved. I love Hopkins. I was just a little afraid of just not having the same target share out there.
Yeah, there's always like a statistical decline when there's a new receiver quarterback combination. So
yeah, there's a lot of history behind that. So I guess kind of went with that stat that it was pretty common for an elite receiver to drop off when they changed teams, but he looked like he fit just like a glove in that offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And props to Brooks too, who has him and Robert Woods. So he's got quite a combination in his 1-2 receiver spot. And
he's got Kenny G, who was injured.
And he has Chris Carson, who caught a couple touchdowns this week as well. Kamara looked a little off to me. We're getting more into Brooks's team instead of surprise players, but I actually just wanted to list off another surprise player, which I don't know how shocked I really was with it. But I did both rookies, J.K. Dobbins, and I'm an Ohio State diehard, and I was just really surprised that they utilized him as much as they did. In week
Especially
1,
on the goal line.
He went out and scored 2 touchdowns. Yeah, right in the goal line. But even the announcer said he just looks like 320 pounds of muscle, and that is absolutely true. Even though I think he's listed at maybe 210.
Yep. And they didn't use Ingram quite as much as I expected Dobbins to get a fair amount of work, but I didn't expect it was
a lot more of a committee than you would think, because they also had who wears number 35? I think it's 35 for that team. Is it the other running back, the third running back? I forget his name.
Gus Edwards.
Yeah, Gus Edwards. That's who I'm thinking of. Which he got some good work in there as well. But yeah, so those were kind of like, I guess, our general surprises of the week. I honestly thought that you were going to say, part of me thought that you were going to say Adam Thielen, but
he was on my mind. But with Diggs out of there, he's going to command a big target share.
Yeah, I hate to say that. I kind of expected, but I knew that he was going to have a massive target share, which is why I ended up, in a couple people's eyes, making the unpopular move of trading Tyler Lockett for him straight up.
Thielen is a little older, but I think it was a pretty good move, because I do think he's going to put up numbers this year. More like probably more conventional surprise that would have made the list was Robbie Anderson. I know he caught a 75-yard touchdown, so that helps.
Yeah, and his former teammate Jamison Crowder could have been another surprise.
Also true. 24.4 in Jake's flex, and he looked good for them. So that's kind of a more conventional surprise.
Do you think? Do you see it realistically that he'll take a fair share of targets away from maybe DJ Moore?
Yeah, it's possible, and Curtis Samuel as well. I think they've got 3 really good weapons, so all of those guys could command a pretty good share. But usually DJ Moore, I would expect him to put up the most points week to week. I mean, he's kind of their bell cow receiver, if you would.
Yeah. Does it kind of has the feel of, what used to be like the Rams 3-headed monster of Kupp, Woods, and Cooks. Except now it's Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Samuel.
Curtis Samuel. Yeah.
Which I think Samuel would be kind of the Cooks character because he's so speedy, but he doesn't get
so is Robbie too, though.
Yeah, that's also very true. Anyway, moving on. Who were your bust players that you had for this week, for week 1?
Yeah, so one of my own, Le'Veon. I mean, he's just got.
I mean,
with the Steelers, he's just a different player.
You can call him a bust since did he get hurt during the game or did he play the whole game?
He got hurt, but he was put back in, and Gase literally said that he should not have put him back in because of his hamstring. He has with that offense, his ceiling is nowhere, and his floor is. He's like you expect him to put up 8 to 12 points, and it's just not a fun play. And I'm not that mad that he's on the IR because I don't have to make a decision again.
It's crazy to think about that, especially because he was probably the most exciting player in fantasy 3-4 years ago.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I had him all over the place a few years ago, and he would literally put up 40 to 50 point games.
Yeah, and me being a partial Steelers fan, I mean, I do love James Conner if he could stay healthy, but Le'Veon there and getting to watch him was just the 3 Bs, Bell, Brown, and Ben just went hard a few years ago. So for my busts, I have 3 of them. And they were all on teams that were playing each other this week. One of them on my very own squad as well, Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
Which he kind of disappointed. I had seen that he was on snap restriction or carry restriction, load manage, whatever you want to call it, given the Kawhi treatment, whatever you want to call it. But that it was because he was maybe still recovering from a concussion, but whatever it was, him and Kareem kind of split carries. And I don't know I didn't see any statistics on who was on the field for a higher snap percentage share. I didn't see anything on that, but I know that Kareem got more carries. But moving on from Nick, the busts I want to talk about that I was very happy they busted because I played both of them.
Jones' side
and Joe Mixon. Yeah. I was so happy they busted.
And Kupp too.
And Kupp busted too.
Yeah.
Except I did think
Saquon. Go ahead.
I also had the Pittsburgh defense too, which made me very happy about that. I have no trust in the Giants whatsoever. So except Slayton was a big bright spot this week, but the Giants O-line just they can't hold up against that Pittsburgh rushing. It's just so good.
Pittsburgh defensive line is insane.
The Michigan linebacker that's from there, and Bud Dupree is taking off as well. And then they also have some other D lineman whose name I forget at the moment, but he's also been a highly touted character as well.
Yeah, if you have the option to sit your starting running back against the Steelers, if you have someone you can put in for them, I suggest that. If the best or second best running back in the league is putting up 9.6, he had 15 carries for 6 yards, and the only reason he even came close to 10 points is because he had 6 receptions for 60 yards. I mean, that was just a steal wall.
I even told you that at one point where it probably is recency bias, but I even told you at this point I would probably take Clyde Edwards-Helaire straight up to Saquon. And then Mixon,
it's a reference to another league.
I didn't really see much of the Bengals game, but I just saw the stats with Mixon, and I was just kind of surprised.
He had a fumble. He didn't get too much work in the passing game, and he didn't fall in the end zone. So that kind of It kind of went back to
Yeah.
Mixon of the beginning of last year is what kind of happened. But I think as Burrow gets more comfortable, Mixon is best when he gets more and more carries. And he's got to fall in the end zone once, and I think he'll be fine. But yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, between him, Saquon, and Kupp, that hurt Jones for sure.
Yeah, but he still put up 120, which is
Right.
honestly pretty insane. Like if I look at he did have Derrick Henry.
We may have missed a boom. We may have missed a boom with Jacobs there with his 3 touchdowns.
Jacobs, yeah, we totally forgot about Jacobs. I didn't
and Devontae Adams too.
Totally forgot about that. Well, like I kind of expected.
Those are kind of the main ones, right? Yeah,
I figured
expected
Jacobs
booms.
was going to have like a really big week, just because of the way they've been raving about
Carolina.
him all off season. But I still stand by my surprise player, Jonathan Taylor. I don't know why he really surprised me that much, but I guess it was more of a pleasant surprise getting to watch someone in a.
It's not the talent as much as it is the
natives.
opportunity. Yeah, it was more the opportunity that he got week 1, but that goes into the injury, unfortunately, of Marlon Mack.
Is Patrick Mahomes only having 20 points a bust? 2 for Aaron?
Pretty close, right?
For people who listen to this, there's one team in our league, one manager in our league who has managed to get pretty much the best player in almost every position. And it's been hysterical just watching it unfold.
But also ended up in the toilet bowl last year.
But also ended up in our toilet bowl finals last year. And I believe his first round rookie pick ended up being 4th or 3rd.
Yeah,
he didn't even own it.
Yeah, I think it was Steven had it.
Yeah, one of the other people in the league had it. And then I also wanted to point this out that someone in our league had placed a bet for Patrick Mahomes to throw for 300 yards. And we got a message in the league that he needed Mahomes to throw for 89 more yards, and he finished with 211. So he did not throw for another yard after the time that message was sent. Which made it
quality.
I mean, to me, that made it that much sweeter, but in terms of comedy. But so we did surprises, we did busts. Now let's just talk about game management.
Yep.
Who do you think had the biggest lineup win? Where they may have made a last-second change, or maybe bench someone that you wouldn't expect them to bench and started someone else?
That's a good one. I assume Thielen was in your lineup the whole time, so that probably wasn't a last minute for you, right? I know you put James Robinson in the last second. Who did you have in instead? Was it over Evans?
It was. I had switched. I actually might have had Edelman in instead of James Robinson.
Okay.
And I think I switched them last second. No. I take it back. I actually had Scotty Miller in because I thought Evans was not playing. And then I just stayed safe and left Evans out of the lineup and put in James Robinson. But that would have given me almost another point.
Yeah, there weren't you and Aaron's game was the only one that was close. So I'm kind of going to go the other way because I know Brooks mentioned it in his power rankings. But if Aaron would have put Metcalf in for Kupp, I think he would have taken you down, right?
How many points? Metcalf had that really long touch. I mean, he could have played
17.5 and Kupp had 6, so that's 11.
Well, let's be honest. He could have played Lockett.
That would have beat you down.
He could have played Lockett, Anthony Miller, or Metcalf, or Jonnu Smith, or even Dallas Goedert, or even Noah Fant. My gosh, his team is stacked. So he had.
Yeah, you won by 9, and if he would have put Metcalf over Kupp, if you put even just Metcalf over Kupp, he would have beat you by 2. So
yeah,
and you probably would start Kupp over Metcalf, but I think they're pretty close at least. So that was definitely a decision that changed the outcome of the game.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. They played Dallas, and I think most teams actually are probably more scared of Kupp as a playmaker than they are Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods is more reliable, but I think Kupp is the bigger playmaker. And so I think teams will probably key in maybe a little more on Kupp, and that maybe is what happened. But the Rams just went to Robert Woods. I mean, you saw it.
Over and over.
They did that play action with the bootleg to Robert Woods. It felt like they did it 20 times in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And
as they switched to 12 personnel as their main offense, where they're playing the 2 tight ends. And that takes out when they had Cooks, they were playing the 3 receivers, and they're really playing the 2 receivers more than the 3. So when they had Cooks in, they were able to draw another cornerback on those receivers, which usually opened up Kupp across the middle. But now that they're playing Kupp and Woods on the outside more, I don't think he's as useful or as effective on the outside as he is across the middle.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I don't know if I actually heard you say your lineup win. Did you say Thielen for me with my team?
Yeah, I mean, I assume you would have played him regardless, but I mean, I think that's a pretty big, just with there not being that many games that were super close. Thielen seemed like quite a big difference maker for you.
Yeah, I mean, he was in my lineup, and it's funny that you say that because I actually said that I actually put the lineup winner of the week was actually me. And it's really funny that I say that actually is because I think I was 1 player away from my best possible lineup, and that's because I benched Aaron Rodgers for Cam Newton last second.
And they both did fine. Well, I guess they both put up points.
Yeah, which I think, Aaron Rodgers outscored him by like 7 points. But I think that was my only – well, also Edelman. I could have played Edelman over one of my I guess over McLaurin. I have Terry McLaurin. I guess I could have played him over him. But, so for lineup win, I actually put me – and in our weekly awards too, I actually had the most accurate lineup that was put out there out of everyone in our league. So – I don't mean to brag, but
yep.
You
were a good manager this week.
Yeah, I could have had 16 more points, which 16 more points about. So on the flip side of that, who would you say had the biggest lineup loss?
Well, it was clearly me. Not that it affected the outcome.
I mean, you still won, but I don't think it cost you anything. You still won, so it didn't really cost you. I mean, it did cost. Actually, I take that back. It did cost you 55 points.
And that can all come down to a tiebreaker in the end. I said it earlier. The biggest woe to me was Kupp over Metcalf, just because that was the only game that was super close, and that could have made the difference in the outcome of the game.
Also, I don't think you would have ever have thought to play Malcolm Brown week 1 as well.
Malcolm Brown, man, 2 touchdowns. He looked like a workhorse for the Rams.
And you also had Ridley and Marquise on your bench as well.
Yeah, and JT.
Yeah. Freaking Odell in the starting lineup, man. Oof. You've heard me say it over and over. I will never trust Odell for fantasy again. I think you even threw a trade at me involving Odell at one point, and I just said no.
He needs to get out of Cleveland. I think he needs to go to New England. Have him and Cam.
I don't know if that's much of an upgrade in terms of throwing, but I also think that it just needs to be written out a little more because, again, I even told you during the weekend that Baker Mayfield has not had a consistent coach / offense for more than 17 games.
Yeah. That's just poor.
That's terrible. That's honestly awful.
Odell had 10 targets, so it's not like he wasn't in the game. He had 2 drops. He had 10 targets. He only had 3 catches. The opportunity is there. He's got to have a decent game, right?
Is it more like – I watched some of the Browns game, not all of it, but is it more of like Baker Mayfield's not throwing a good ball, or is it good defense, or is it just – I mean, they did play the Ravens, so I'm sure it was at some points it was just good defense because he was probably getting checked by Marlon Humphrey.
It's a combination. There's times Odell doesn't look completely in it, and I think that just comes part of his personality.
He did have that team off-season surgery too. That's another thing you got to look at.
Core surgery, yeah. That offense is just a run-first team, though. I mean, they're gonna run the ball with Chubb and Hunt.
I know that I have Chubb on my fantasy team, but I think he might be my favorite running back to watch when he's carrying the football.
He's a bowling ball.
I don't know. There's just something about his vision and the way that he looks around. I also like the way Jacobs runs just because he's incredibly elusive. But the lineup loss I had, I didn't even know if I want to call it a lineup loss, really. I'll call it for this week, we can just call it lineup misfortune. And I think you know where I'm going with this. It was actually my dad's team started up. He had probably the worst offseason you can have in dynasty history, where he is a Marlon Mack owner and he's a Kerryon Johnson owner, and which it's obvious that they drafted a couple of the best running backs in this class, and in Swift and Taylor. But
don't forget about Michael Gallup too.
And Gallup with CeeDee Lamb as well. So he also has Debo, who he had to put on IR. And
that just they drafted a first-round receiver. I don't know if that'll hurt Debo that much, but they did draft another first-round receiver.
So he had to, it's not really a lineup loss. It's lineup misfortune, because he had to play James Conner, Marlon Mack, Michael Thomas, who obviously didn't play well. He had to play T.Y., who, I mean, I think he played okay. He didn't really have the yards, but he still had 4 catches. Ertz played well. That touchdown saved him fantasy-wise. Gallup actually looked good, except for that last offensive pass interference call.
That was not that was bad.
Jalen Ramsey doing his best Kyle Lowry interpretation right there, to throw a little NBA at you. And then carry on. Like his he better just hold on to his first round pick and, maybe look at Chubba Hubbard for the future when depending on where he gets drafted.
Yep. Absolutely.
Not a lineup loss. Lineup misfortune is what I'm going to call that one. But, I mean,
I think that ties into the injury woes segment as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think we pretty much covered that, but that was kind of where I was going to go. It was just Dan's team is he's got a lot that he's trying to build up from after all those injuries.
Yeah, there were a lot of injuries on that team. And, I mean, our former champion, he had a couple injuries to key players as well. I mean, he has so many key players, but he saw Kittle go down, and he didn't have Miles Sanders this week as well.
Yep, that's true.
Which it didn't really hurt him because his team's stacked as well. But
bringing in Juju, who ended up having 2 touchdowns, turned out okay for him.
And like I said earlier, he's a DJ Moore owner, and who knows if we could see DJ Moore have a decline in targets, which I would dislike to see, because I like DJ Moore, fantasy and as a player.
Yeah, I think he's pretty safe. I think those other guys are more kind of long-range boomer busts, but we'll see week to week. Robbie obviously got the big play this week.
It's only week 1, and a new quarterback there as well. We got to mention that.
Yep, Teddy.
Yeah. So, what would you say was the marquee, the matchup to watch from at least our league, NFL? Let's just say NFL wise, and in our league, in week 1.
From this past week or upcoming?
This last week, and then we can do upcoming after.
Yeah. So the matchup obviously was you and Jones. That was a fun one to keep an eye on throughout the whole week. Going into Monday night, Jones had both Saquon and Derrick Henry, and do you have someone else on Monday night too?
I hate to
Definitely
say those two. It could just be me being a somewhat Pittsburgh fan. I root more for Ohio State players in the NFL, but I do root for Pittsburgh as a team more often than not. I wasn't that scared of Saquon this week, and I was proven right.
Pittsburgh defense is pretty crazy.
He barely mustered. He didn't even muster. He didn't even get half a yard per carry in this game.
Yeah.
Which, that's actually insane, because it would take him over 20 tries to get a first down if you go on it by that.
What was yours? I assume yours was the same.
Yeah, that was the marquee matchup. The other one that I was interested to, because like in terms of the other top teams in the league, they were playing guys in our power rankings who are in the bottom third. Our former champion playing someone who decided to blow up his whole team. And then we have we had a guy that could have won the championship, honestly, last year with a winged helmet or hashtag let Russ cook. He could have won the championship last year if I didn't make him lose his bye week in the last week last year. But that was one that I was kind of interesting to watch just because I think the squad that he was going up against was interesting. I was interested to see how Ronald Jones did, Singletary, Chark and Sutton. This is the team that he was going up against. But actually, I'm going to take back my biggest lineup loss because I see now that the Luke Smith of the General Shepherd's Rangers actually started Cortland Sutton.
Who didn't play.
Who didn't even play.
Wouldn't.
But yeah, I think my team, the 41ers against the Fish Tenders, I guess you can call that the Dave Matthews Band Bowl. I think that it was the matchup of the week and ended up proving to be that by the end of it. But I thought Thielen was going to do better than he was projected, which he did. I thought Saquon was really going to underperform, which he did. And based on those two things, I was fairly confident heading into this week, believe it or not. I honestly forgot that Philly had acquired Darius Slay until after the game started. And if I would have remembered that, I probably would not have started Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, he had a tough matchup.
Yeah, and I believe he was getting checked by Darius Slay a decent amount of the time. But what was the game that you were probably keying into most?
Obviously, I was watching the Colts game early, and that was just so disappointing that we lost to what should be the worst team in the league, and the Jaguars. So I'm going to let that one sit. Some fun ones that I kept an eye on were the Packers and the Vikings. I mean, that over-under ended up being 77. I mean, there were some points going up in that game. Rodgers was just playing out of his mind. Adams was, catching balls left and right.
Rodgers has the FU this year. He's got the FU this year by far.
He does. He's running around with the discount double check. He's going to throw 4 touchdowns a game. Yep. Bears-Lions was interesting. Of course, I bet the Lions minus 2.5, and they were up 17 in the fourth quarter or something like that, and the Bears came trotting back, and then Swift, which would have covered it. If Swift would have caught that touchdown that Stafford dropped into his breadbasket, I would have covered, and the Lions would have won. But he dropped it, and the Lions lost. And so
he's probably,
Lions
I think, like
Bear
he was
fashion.
supposed, like his scouting report heading into the NFL. I think like his receiving is supposed to be like
one of his best attributes,
best strengths. Yeah. Although, like I remember reading something at some point about him where he drops passes that he should catch. I don't remember where I read this. I honestly could be making it up for all I remember, but I know that I've seen that and read that somewhere, and that's a pass that he should have caught that he dropped.
Yep, totally.
But I was definitely keyed in on another division matchup, which was Browns-Ravens. I just wanted to watch Lamar. And it's funny because you're a Michigan fan and I'm an Ohio State fan. I wanted to see what JK would do and how many snaps he would get. And I got to see him score 2 touchdowns, which was really fun. So I was watching that game a lot. But I watched part of the Cardinals-Niners game, and that's a super fast defense. We know that that's a super fast defense. And we know the Cardinals are a crazy talented offense, but I did not realize like the speed of their offense matched up with the speed of the 49ers defense was a really fun matchup to watch. And I just liked watching the Hopkins-Murray connection. Kyler Murray's baby Lamar already.
Yep, he's cooking, ready to.
He's baby Lamar, but I think he throws a deep ball with the touch of like a Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that was something I was really excited to see this season. It was what Kyler's rushing upside looked like. In first game, he comes out 91 yards and a touchdown. So that that dude's got a high ceiling.
Well,
I'm excited that I made a move for him.
Tom Brady rushed for a touchdown, so don't get too excited yet.
You're not wrong.
So those were a bunch of fun. There were some fun games to watch this weekend. I'm sure this next coming weekend we're gonna have a lot of good games as well. But
let's talk about next week.
Yeah, you haven't done this yet. I've already got some FanDuel bets out there for some of the games this week. Yeah, I did. I'm trying to see if I can find it because I'll find it later. But you and I are going to do something now where we build FanDuel lineups and contests with the budgets, with the budget cap, and then you and I are going to compare lineups that we made. But even though you haven't made one,
sorry, I'm laughing. Sorry, Brooks just put Jameis Winston on the trade block. Sorry, I'm laughing.
a live trade.
This is a live.
Gardner Minshew went for a third after a lot of just testing the trade block is the next question. Where's the next message? But I mean, Gardner Minshew went for a third after Jake Smith consulted every other manager in the league. I think 4, 5, 6 times. I think he was waiting for some of the older gentlemen in the league to have a glass of whiskey or two before they and then ask for a 3rd-round pick for Gardner.
Can you do a screenshot grab of this message board and throw it up in the video?
Yeah, I'll take a screenshot of this, and if I can make like a podcast like poster or something, then I'll do that.
That might be the.
But yeah, I'll take a screenshot of that right now while you told me to. But anyway, going into next week. All right, let's start fantasy wise. What teams are you going to be watching in our league?
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to my matchup with Jones. Our projection right now is 48, 52%, 137, 138. So it's got a tight projection. And
think he'll start Joe Mixon again?
It's Kyler versus Mahomes. It's Kyler versus Mahomes. He's not going to get Baker in there. He's not getting the Baker-Odell combo. Currently, he has texted me and said that he was going to play Dallas Goedert instead of Henry. Now he put Henry back in. He has Metcalf in for Kupp. Kupp's going to go off now. So we'll see. I'm excited for that matchup. I need A.J. Brown to come through this week. He had a disappointing week 1.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Zeke and JT. Yep. So that matchup for sure. And then I do think you and Curtis is a fun matchup. And I do think Brooks and Ken, I think there's a couple. Those are kind of like the top tier of teams that are all playing each other. And then we've got some fun ones with Luke versus Steven. So one of them's going to pull a victory. And then you've got Dan and Jake. And Jake is currently projected to beat Dan after Dan's injury riddled. He does have one of his flexes empty, so that might have to change.
Which one does? Jake?
No, Dan. Dan is projected 6 points less, but he has a flex spot open still.
Gotcha. So Jake and Dan, probably the bottom 2 teams in the league this year, they were actually I put down as my marquee matchup. It's the race to the number 1 pick, but Jake doesn't even own his own pick. Do you have it? I forget who has it. You do have it.
And next year,
not only are you contending, but you also are probably going to get the number 1 pick if my dad continues.
I did offer. It was part of the trade package. I did offer as a part of a trade package before Jake decided to trade Kamara to Brooks. He could have had his first round pick back in a package, but he decided to go elsewhere. So I will hold on to that.
I mean, me as a manager, to me, it just makes sense that if I'm going to trade one of my best players, if I get my own pick back, knowing that I'm getting way worse. And Kamara is easily a top 6, top 5, half PPR running back asset.
Especially after Thomas just went down.
Especially after that. But yeah, they're my marquee matchup, believe it or not. The other matchup that I think I might be more excited in terms of actual contenders, I think the teams that I'm excited to watch are the Ken Stewart # Let Russ Cook, formerly known as the Winged Helmet. Michigan fans, man.
He said he's changing it back.
Yeah, okay, he better. Actually, you can leave Michigan out of it and I'll be happy. But
whatever.
But he's going up against the Gravediggers of the Brooks Smith managed squad, which that's gonna be a really fun matchup because Ken's got I watched a lot of the Tampa Bay game this last weekend, and just they have a lot of speed on their defense at the linebacker position, and they can get after running backs. I think really well, and I think McCaffrey is going to struggle a lot with that. Do I think he'll still probably have 2 touchdowns or some crazy stat line? Probably, just because it's Christian McCaffrey. But that's probably the game that if I'm looking at our league and checking how the league is doing over and over, that's probably the game that I'll probably, other than my own scores, that's probably the team that I'll be looking at most.
Yep, I think that's a good sleeper one, especially talking about race to the bottom. Jake may want to come after me to try to acquire his first round pick. I'm not sure if there's anything that I want to give up, but yes, that's right. We'll see the race to the bottom as well.
In all honesty, what on his team, because he does not have any pieces that
Once
you
he
really
gave up
want.
Kamara,
You thought Darrell Henderson was going to be that piece, but then the Rams drafted Cam Akers. Devontae
I don't think
Parker,
there's much
maybe?
on his team at the not much on his team at the moment that would entice me to move him his own pick after he gave up Kamara, unfortunately.
I don't know. At some point, we're going to have to – I think at some point we should look back at our league history and take every single trade and grade it. I think that would be a fun idea.
That would be fun. We could maybe do a future episode on that.
We could do it at the time and then how it ended up progressing, or how it ended up now. But
this is something I just thought of. That. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I guess thought of a fun little thing we could throw in here at the end is let's give out our best bets of the week for this upcoming NFL week.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
Take a look at the spread.
So
have you looked at the spreads at all this upcoming week?
I have a little bit. You're not going to like this. I don't remember all the teams that I picked. I did I listened to another podcast, the Bill Simmons podcast, and he's doing his Ringer Mega Contest or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I did picks for that, and you're not gonna like this, but I did pick the Vikings over the Colts.
You should take money line or the points.
Or
is this just a pick 'em?
It's a pick. Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's a pick 'em.
It's a pick 'em. Okay.
Yeah. So that was kind of my.
Yeah, if you bet the Jaguars last week, you came out profitable. Yeah, unfortunately.
Which I didn't bet this last week. I didn't bet week 1 actually, surprisingly. But in a pick 'em, I'm just going to tell you all the teams I did in a pick 'em really quick. Is I actually picked the. This is the one I struggled with the most. Actually, was Browns and Bengals. I didn't know really who to pick. I actually ended up picking the Browns. just because of the talent. But who knows? That talent hasn't really proven itself in the past. So, Giants,
And if you look at that
Bears.
the spread on the Bengals-Browns is 6. So you're getting 6 points with the Bengals if you decide to go there. I do think that's a nice incentive to bet the Bengals if you take the points there. But if you're going straight up, I probably would go with Browns.
Yeah, Giants, Bears. I picked the Bears on that one. But wasn't too confident about it again, but because I think that's going to be another really interesting game. This next one, I'm just looking on my ESPN app at the Sunday schedule. This next one is just going to be a heck of a shootout. It's the Falcons and Cowboys. Talk about offense.
That's what I'm looking at too.
I did pick the Cowboys for this one.
Yep. The Falcons are getting 4.5.
Yeah, but the Rams did. The Cowboys picked up the. Is it Auden Smith, something like that? They picked him up, and he hasn't played an NFL game in a while, but he was all over the Rams. And the Rams have their new and improved offensive line, which looked really good as well. They were actually winning at the line of scrimmage more often than not. I did pick the Cowboys for that just because can't really think of anyone noteworthy on the Falcons defense, unfortunately. And then Lions, Packers, Jaguars, Titans. I picked Titans. Vikings, Colts. I picked Vikes. Bills, Dolphins, Bills. Jets, Niners. Niners. And then Rams, Eagles. I did pick the Rams.
1 second.
You good?
In the middle of a podcast. We're making a podcast.
Oh, is this Nate Dogg? Hi, Nate Dogg. You want a feature?
Hello. Wait, what's the
you
podcast?
Want a shout out?
It's for Fantasy Football League. He can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't. You have your AirPods in.
Anyways,
Ask him who's his favorite NFL player.
You're dope.
If you had to pick.
Love you, bro.
Say, who's your favorite NFL player? Make a pick.
Peyton
he says
Manning.
a Michigan player.
He's
retired.
I don't know. I don't know that. No, I'm in a fantasy league. I have no idea what I'm doing. And
we can start doing call-ins.
Wait, can I get one of these quick? So Noah, okay. I'm in a fantasy league, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I have to have Jordan and my dad win for me. And if I lose, if I'm the last person during like the playoffs, that person has to make an OnlyFans, post on their story about it, and post feet pictures to it.
This is worse, I think, than that tattoo league that went viral. Wait, who's on your team?
Oh, I'll show you.
Nate's gonna have to be our weekly call-in for fantasy advice.
Yeah,
he's gonna have to give us
for fantasy advice, and I don't know if we would even consider ourselves fantasy experts. We're just fantasy.
No, I'm saying Nate call us and give the advice.
Oh, yeah, Nate,
that would not be good.
Bogus fantasy advice.
So I have Matt Ryan.
Okay.
Derrick Henry?
Yep.
I don't know who that is.
Todd
Gurley the second. Charlie Goodwin? Christopher Goodwin? I don't know.
Chris Godwin.
Cooper?
Amari
Cooper.
Click on the player, it'll tell you that.
Yeah. Darren Waller. Devontae Parker. I have the Saints defense right now. Zane Gonzalez. I have Darrell Henderson Jr., Jamison Crowder, Sterling Shepard, Josh Allen, who did pretty good last week.
He did. I have him in a different league.
Deshaun Jackson and Tony Pollard.
This team's got potential. You shouldn't come in last.
If you have a couple injuries, your team's going to be really good. If Zeke goes out and tears his ACL or something, you're going to be in good shape.
Don't wish that on
That would destroy so many people's fantasy. I had Zeke last year, and I was scared that I was going to lose.
Wait, how many years have you played fantasy but don't know any of the players' names?
Just last year is when I started.
Oh, okay. You're still kind of a newbie.
Oh yeah. Guess who came up with the bet?
Who?
Yeah.
Oh no.
You.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to lose. Like, there's a low chance of that happening.
Don't say that. Don't say that. You're giving yourself a bad omen, and now you're going to be in last place.
No, I will. I hope Cameron loses so that I can post his feet pics on my story.
I also want you to know that I drafted, my fiance Annie. I drafted her team for her, and she knows more of the players' names than you do. So.
Yeah, well, I'm just out here vibing. I didn't even know I was in the league until the day of the first game.
Yeah, he auto-drafted.
Yeah, they auto-drafted me, and then I just started getting texts on a group chat, and I'm like, I'm in this.
This is the best podcast drop-in that I think I've ever – and it's our
debut podcast. I will call him in every week.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll let you guys get back to it.
Nate, is Macy inside?
I think so.
You double check.
Yeah.
Thanks. So there's your weekly drop-in from Nate Stewart.
Shout out! We're having a Nate Dog segment from here on out. But
I think we're pushing an hour here.
Are we really? Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. We might be pushing
an hour. Yeah.
Remember when you said that you wanted to go 15 minutes to
15
a half hour?
30. Yeah.
What can we say? We like fantasy. So
let's go off topic here a little bit. I gotta shout out my Heat after game one. I know I've got a lot of Celtics fans who are about to listen to this, but game one. No, you didn't even watch. You cannot comment. But Bam Adebayo is the best defensive player in this series, and he is going to make himself known. And I will also say that Jason
Tatum
make a
defensive team?
He made all second. Jason Tatum scares the living crap out of me, and I am scared every moment he touches the ball. So
yeah,
that is my little bit of Celtics I'll throw in there for you.
So I know that you and I could talk about anything sports related for hours on end, but I legitimately, the feel that I have with Jason Tatum is he's kind of having that 2010-11 Kevin Durant type ascension is what it feels like. I'm not saying that it's going to get to that level, but that's just what the ascension feels like because
Simmons mentioned something like that on his pod today.
Did he really? I didn't even listen to that.
If he said he feels like the Heat have the edge in the series unless Tatum starts to take that next level ascension, which is kind of like the 2012 Kevin Durant step.
And then he also it's also kind of Paul George-esque the way his ascension has been, except I think he's already better than Paul George on both ends of the floor. I have no problem saying that whatsoever. But
I don't even think that's that big of a hot take either anymore.
No, I have no problem saying that I think he could become the best offensive weapon in the NBA in 5 years. When he's 27, 28, when he's more of a veteran, and I could just see him being the most lethal offensive player in the league.
Something funny that I heard off a couple Heat podcasts actually is the Sixers are responsible for this Eastern Conference Finals because Danny Ainge took advantage of them and got Jason Tatum, and Miami took advantage of them and got Jimmy Butler. They are solely responsible for this series, the Heat Celtics, and I am totally here for the process. Totally flaming out.
You know what? I remember when trust the process was a thing, and as a Celtics fan, I'm officially trusting the process. But it's not on the Philadelphia side. I'm trusting the process for everyone that leaves Philadelphia. Whether it's a draft pick that leaves Philadelphia or it's a player that leaves Philadelphia.
Yep.
Markelle Fultz, when he went to is he in Orlando now?
Orlando.
He was looking good in Orlando. He was terrible in Philly. Right. He went to Orlando. The process is to leave Philadelphia. That is the process. And I trust it completely. Thank you.
Who do you predict their next coach?
Philly? That's actually a good question.
I throw either Ty Lue or D'Antoni out there.
I wanted to say D'Antoni, but I just do not feel like this roster fits the type of thing D'Antoni wants to do.
D'Antoni fits more of like a New Orleans team or something like that.
I was actually going to say I thought Mike Malone would have lost his job But
except he's in the conference finals.
I think coming back from 2-3-1 deficits has kind of secured his position, at least for another year or
He
two.
might be safe.
I thought D'Antoni could fit really well in that. If instead of they could probably do the 7-second offense there, which I read another statistic that you are more likely in each is a 24 by 3 8 in each segment, in each third that's 8 seconds long, your shot percentage goes down as you go further down the clock. So I saw a statistic where the most accurate shooting takes place in that first third, the 24 to 16 or 17 second range, was actually like the most accurate shooting, like the most accurate time in shooting in terms of the shot clock.
Yep. It's interesting
But
stuff.
yeah, which I wasn't expecting. At least for me, I would have thought it'd probably be in the middle third. And, the final third, you're just feeling pressured as a basketball player mentally, maybe, to just throw something up there. But it was, I don't know what Philly does from this point. If I had to keep one of the two players, I think Philly should just try and trade and get rid of Embiid. I don't see him ever winning a series for that franchise. And it's mainly because the man looks like he needs to be put in an IV in the middle of the second quarter just because he's so out of shape.
I think you got to get rid of one of them because Simmons and Embiid together, you got two non-shooters, and Simmons kind of plays like Giannis. He's kind of like a baby Giannis. So you kind of got to pick your poison and build around one of those guys.
If I had to pick, I'd probably pick Ben Simmons because I know that I'll actually get effort for 48 minutes instead of.
And he's great defensively.
Yeah, instead of, maybe I don't know if he just needs some Gatorade chews or something, but Embiid just cannot. When he, it's funny that we are talking about NBA now because I was just talking to a fellow Celtics fan, a friend of mine, when it was game 4 of the Celtics-Philly series and Al Horford was coming to check in. And when that was happening, I was like, oh, no, here we go. Philly's going to come back a little bit, or they're at least going to go on a little run. And then Embiid waved him off, and Al Horford goes walking back to the bench. And I could not have been more delighted, in all honesty. I could not have been happier at that point. It was amazing.
That's great. Yeah, the NBA is getting the series they deserve right now. I texted this to Brooks. 2 well-run organizations. And we don't have to worry about what I said to Brooks was we don't have to worry about the process being here. We don't have to worry about the 2009 Cavs with Giannis in the conference finals either. So.
Oh, I worry about the LeBron narrative.
With Giannis?
No, not even with that. Just like the GOAT debate and whatnot. He's not the GOAT, sorry. But I'm probably hurting a lot of people's feelings out there, whatever. But the thing that I find hysterical about it is that he was talking about winning comes in my name. What was the quote? It was something like that, right? With my name comes with winning. He said something like that.
I didn't hear that quote.
He said there was something like that going around after the Lakers beat the Rockets, and I was laughing I honestly read that, and I think I might have needed to be resuscitated. I was laughing so hard because he's a career 3-6 in the finals. 3-6.
Yeah, sounds about
right. Is that right? Yeah. But there's our NBA plug.
Nice
any
little
other
plug
sports you want to plug? Tennis, Quidditch? Is there any other sports that we can throw out there?
All I'm saying is that this is a great time after the pandemic. We're getting a lot of great sports. Like the U.S. Open's on Sunday. No one probably remembers that. Like that's coming up.
We didn't even talk about the best thing to happen recently is that Big Ten is officially playing.
October 23rd, October 24th. Big Ten is back, 8-week schedule. They have not released the schedule yet, but they're going to play enough games to be able to get into the college football playoffs.
I was going to ask you when you think if they had scheduled the game, the classic Ohio State-Michigan game.
Hopefully we get.
I hope it's the last week.
And I don't know if you saw this.
For people who don't
McCaffrey,
know.
Did you see Dylan McCaffrey said he's transferring out?
Oh, which you dislike because you like Dylan McCaffrey more than the other guy.
Well, but I think Milton's got quite an arm on him. And
is his name Joe? Joe Milton?
Joe Milton, yeah. He's got quite an arm on him, and we've got a 5-star quarterback that's coming in next year anyways. So.
J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah.
Do you remember what I told? Do you remember a conversation we had a while ago? This was back when they did like the college, the QB camp. Ohio State has a quarterback named Kyle McCord coming in the same class as JJ.
Yeah.
And another victory that Ohio State had was Kyle McCord beat JJ at this QB camp thing. I forget exactly what it was called, like a top 100. I don't remember. It was a college recruit QB camp, and McCord ended up winning the weekend. But you and I were together, and I showed you some of JJ's highlight video, and I said one thing that I think made you shiver a little bit, and that was that some of his deep balls were very Shea Patterson-esque.
I'm not so sure about that.
Well,
let's leave Shea's name out of this.
Let's just say his inconsistency was less consistent. So basically, he had better deep throws, but the bad ones were still there. He had the Shea Patterson ball, like the Shea Patterson deep ball, like was 80% of the time I felt like an incompletion. With JJ, I feel like you're looking at a good 40. You at least taking it down a half.
I'm excited to see him when he comes on in, but he is. I feel like we went off the railroad quite a bit. We probably need a little bit more of a fence for next podcast, but I thought this was fun.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely keep this up, and maybe we'll just – it's 10:46 Eastern time on a Wednesday, so maybe this next time we start earlier. And who knows, maybe we're going to go longer once we bring more guys in here, because we'll definitely get our fantasy league commissioner, Brooks, in here. We'll probably try to drag in a couple other guys. Maybe we can have Curtis talk about his former career as being the local weatherman here in Northeast Indiana. But
more Nate Dogg pop-ups.
More Nate Dogg drop-ins. But, you know, good time for good first pod, good debut. I think for the inaugural SSS pod, it went really well.
I'm excited to do more of them.
Yeah. Or you thinking once a week?
I think
a weekly pod, once a week,
especially during the season. I think it's good to be able to get those recaps out. And we'll see if we want to keep going past it or if we just want to make this a season thing. But I'm excited. We've obviously got plenty to talk about.
Let's start getting let's get some producers on the table to get our sponsorships on the line. But
I can't wait.
All right. Well, good job by you. Good inaugural podcast.
Good job by you.
Hey, I feel like that's copyrighted, so say something else.
See you later.
See you later. Stay classy, San Diego. Can I say that? One of our favorite movies.
San Diego.
All right. Well, good inaugural podcast.
Right, man, good time.
I guess we'll try again in a week.
Hello, how are you doing today? I hope I find you feeling healthy.